Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our countdown. I should say my countdown of the 50 greatest Rams ever. I do this once in a while, every year or so, and I move guys around up and down a little bit, depending on how I'm feeling that day. This is my top 50 Rams of all time, and as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I'm probably missing a couple of guys, and we'll talk about that at the end, maybe overrating some guys, underrating some guys, but giving it my best shot. And, hey, just mention in the comments who I missed out on. Save that maybe for the top 10, because today I'm just going through number 21 through 30. I've already gone through 31 through 50, and you can check those out on the previous podcasts and YouTube videos. Check those out. The reason I say maybe save your comments to the end, though, maybe one of the guys you think should be mentioned in this top 50 are yet to come. Or maybe I'm including someone that doesn't belong. And then in that case, go ahead and mention now. Comment away. Tell me where I am blowing it. I welcome the criticism, and I'll take that into account next time I do this. No promises, though. Absolutely no promises. Now, let's go over who I have already talked about. I'm not going to list these guys, every single one of them. Go check out the videos, but just some highlights, 41 through 50. I had Johnny Hekker at 44, the only pure special teams guy on this list. Jack Snow and Flipper Anderson were 47 and 48, a couple of old-time wide receivers. And at 50 was Joe Schiavelli, just making the cut, just a force on the offensive line there. And by the way, I should rehash this every time, but I do this. I mentioned before the first video and the second video, I kind of weigh everything. I weigh the era they played in, recognizing that, Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch might not make the Rams 2025 53-man roster, but you got to give him some love for what he accomplished in his time. Same for Tom Fears and Bob Waterfield, Jack Snow, Roman Gabriel, all those guys. And I also, consider, if a guy played for a really long time, maybe not at a all-pro level, certainly not a Hall of Fame level, but if you put in 15 solid years of work for our Rams, you're probably on this list. So that was the 41 through 50 highlights, and 31 through 40. Number 40 was Larry Brooks, and he was probably one of the best draft picks in the history of the Los Angeles Rams. Man, he was drafted really late. I included Andrew Whitworth at 37, Robert Quinn at 36, and, Jalen Ramsey and Leroy Irvin, two cornerbacks, were 31 and 32. Irvin at 31, Ramsey at 32. I'm not going to go through all these guys on the podcast, a little much just to run off a bunch of names. Go check out the video or check out the previous podcasts. If you want the complete rundown. I'll run down everything at the very end here. So who do I have at number 30? And it is someone that qualifies as one of those guys that just played at a really high level for a long time, very good football player, and that is Doug Smith. He is my number 30, the 30th greatest Ram of all time. Went undrafted out of Bowling Green in 1978, went on to play 14 years for the Rams, 6-time Pro Bowler, another guy that paved the way for Eric Dickerson. A lot of those guys are going to be mentioned here. Never named All-Pro. So this is a guy that qualifies in that category I just talked about a moment ago. Never made All-Pro, but extremely good player. 6-time Pro Bowler. What more do you need to say? In 14 years. So you got to include Doug Smith, one of the greatest offensive linemen in the history of the Rams, and there have been a bunch of them. And this is also another guy that, his legacy was somewhat tarnished by the fact that the Rams really squandered a lot of opportunities in the playoffs. I'm going to mention that over and over again for a bunch of these guys. It's the truth, but Doug Smith doesn't get the love outside of Ram Nation that he should, in my opinion. Now, who is number 29? And kind of on the other end of the spectrum, Todd Gurley. Relatively brief career with the Rams, but man, he was something else. I like to say that Todd Gurley and Sean McVay were the catalysts of getting this franchise turned around. Yeah, it was mostly Sean McVay, but what would have happened if we didn't have Todd Gurley on that roster those first couple of years with Sean McVay? Nobody electrified the National Football League like Todd Gurley during that period, and I still argue in his prime, as short as it was, perhaps the best running back in the history of the National Football League. Yeah, you heard it. You heard it here. I have so many visions of Todd Gurley, just a lightning bolt through defenses and also running between the tackles, a great receiver. Man, that play at the end of the that game in Seattle, one of my favorite plays ever, where he sent the 12th man packing before halftime. Todd Gurley, and there's a bunch of great running backs on this list. Todd Gurley, he's up there. He's my 29th greatest Ram of all time. Who's next? Number 28, Roman Gabriel. And this is the thing about Roman Gabriel. Well, first, some data on him. He was the NFL MVP in 1969, first team All-Pro once, two-time second team All-Pro, the NFL passing leader in 1973, and the two-time NFL passing leader. And he was overshadowed in his time by guys like Johnny Unitas and Bart Starr, guys that were winning titles. And, the Rams and Roman Gabriel never quite got it done. But during that time, Roman Gabriel to Jack Snow, that was a thing in Los Angeles and in the National Football League. They were the darlings of Los Angeles, those two, along with the Fearsome Foursome. And, I think he gets overlooked again. Futility as far as playoff wins and in the shadow of guys like Johnny U and Bart Starr, but he was something else, one of the best quarterbacks in the National League for that period, that era in the late 60s pretty much. Roman Gabriel, he is my number 28. Moving on to number 27, the 27th greatest Ram ever, Rich Saul. Is Rich Saul the greatest center in the history of this franchise? Another eighth round pick in 1970, eighth round out of Butler. I don't know if any other players from Butler have ever played for the Rams. A pretty good basketball program in recent years. He was a two-time second-team All-Pro, eight-time Pro Bowler, and just him and Ken Iman back-to-back in their careers solidified that center position for, it seemed like, 2 decades. And Saul was just incredible. I think he's recognized by most longtime Ram fans as the best center in franchise history. I don't think there's much argument about that, actually. He is my 27th greatest Ram of all time, Rich Saul. Now, number 26, another running back, Lawrence McCutcheon. And I kind of struggled, McCutcheon versus Gurley. McCutcheon was just more of a workhorse back, not too flashy, but just, knew how to follow his blocks, knew how to gash, and was elusive to some degree, pretty good speed. The Rams drafted him out of Colorado State in 1972, played 8 years for the Rams, second team All-Pro once, five-time Pro Bowler, over 6,000 yards rushing as a Ram. He's fourth on their all-time list behind Falk, Dickerson, SJ39. Those are the three guys ahead of him. And again, another guy that played for a bunch of really good teams. He was at the tail end of his career when the Rams got to the Super Bowl in 1979, the end of the 79 season. But, comparing him to Gurley, who is the better back in their prime? Todd Gurley. But I gave the nod to McCutcheon just for his cumulative achievements as a Los Angeles Ram. Moving on to 25, who is the 25th greatest Ram of all time? In my opinion, Fred Dryer. And this is a guy that, I mentioned this once before. I think a lot of non-Ram fans think he was part of the Fearsome Foursome. Him and Jack Youngblood came later. Larry Brooks was there. Merlin Olsen played alongside him briefly. And that was the second coming of the fearsome foursome, especially Youngblood and Dreyer as bookend ends. They were something else. He came over from the Giants, ended up playing 10 years for the Rams, and just that bookend pass rush of those two guys was crazy good. Second team All Pro, a Pro Bowler, 1974 NFL sack leader, 103 sacks in his career, and he had two safeties in one game. I believe he's still the only guy to do that. And of course, went on to a great Hollywood career as well. Fred Dreyer, he's my number 25. Who is number 24? Cooper Kupp. And, I don't have a lot of active players on here, but I had to include Cooper Kupp. And maybe it's a little early for that, but come on, man. I can't dismiss Cooper Kupp's contribution to this franchise, a third-round pick in the 2017 draft. He was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He's a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP, a first-team All-Pro, won the NFL Triple Crown. How many iconic catches does Cooper Kupp have? The one against the 49ers, one of the rare times we saw an emotional Cooper Kupp. The catch, Stafford to Cooper Kupp against the Buccaneers that same season, and then the touchdowns against the Bengals. Cooper Kupp, it's going to be hard these however many years he plays for the Seahawks, but I'm including him now. He's my 24th greatest Ram ever, and I think he deserves it. He was a very, very special player as a Ram, and can't wait to see him back at SoFi. Hopefully not lighten it up, but he's a very special person, very special player. And, eventually I may have him in the top 15 as the years go by. But right now, trying to maybe push back against the recency bias, and that's hurting Cooper Kupp in my rankings here. And the fact that he's still playing. Cooper Kupp, though, number 24. My 23rd greatest player in Rams history, Dennis Hara, another great offensive lineman. Man, there have just been so many. The 11th overall pick in the 1975 draft out of the University of Miami. And he was a fixture on that offensive line for 13 years. First team All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler. And just another guy who, because of their futility in the playoffs, some of these Rams offensive linemen didn't get the recognition they deserved. These guys on the Steelers and Cowboys getting all these honors and going straight to the Hall of Fame. Dennis Hara, man, he was as good as any offensive lineman during his time in the league. He was something special. He is my 23rd greatest Ram ever. Now, who's number 22? The 22nd greatest Ram ever, Nolan Cromwell. And, I'm a little biased. Nolan Cromwell, defensive back safety, played 11 years for the Rams after being drafted in the second round of the 1977 draft. Three-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, the 1980 Defensive Player of the Year, and a safety on the 1980s All-Decade team. And when I say I'm a little bit biased, I wouldn't say I was anything special as a football player. I mean, I could play a little bit. Hard to believe, but I could. And we used to play the, tackle football down at the junior high school, as we called it back then. No pads, no equipment, just, pummeling each other for a couple hours on the grass there. And I always pictured myself when we were on defense as Nolan Cromwell, just that floating free safety looking for the pick. And I got a few actually, but so I had a special place in my heart for Nolan Cromwell. He was the leader of some very, very talented defenses. Man, some of the best defenses in the history of the National Football League. Look it up. I'm not going to go through data and stats here for you, but there were some Rams defenses that were really, really special, and Nolan Cromwell had a lot to do with it. Probably the greatest safety in the history of this franchise. Nolan Cromwell, number 21 overall, 22, I'm sorry. Now we get to number 21. Who is number 21? Tom Fears, and we're going old school here again. And this is a guy that Yeah, I understand what people are going to say. Come on, man, these guys from the 1950s, do they really stack up? Maybe not, probably not, but let's give this guy some love for what he did. Born in Guadalajara, Mexico, the 11th round, an 11th round pick in 1945 out of UCLA, the first Mexican-born player drafted, first team All-Pro, two-time NFL reception leader, also led the league in receiving yardage, 1950s All Decade team in the Hall of Fame, and he had the winning score, a 73-yard touchdown in the NFL championship game. 73 yards, think about that. The same yardage of the Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner to Isaac Bruce, 73 yards. I always say if the Rams have the ball in the Super Bowl, down by a score on their own 37-yard line, don't leave the room. Something special might be about to happen. And he broke the league single season record in 1949, 77 catches. So he is a record breaking wide receiver. The Just a very special player. The record would be short lived, though, as he increased that mark to 84 during the 1950 season, including a then record 18 catches in one game against the Packers. So, and remember, this was an era where there wasn't a lot of passing, not like we have today. That Rams offense, Norm Van Brocklin, Bob Waterfield, Tom Fears, Elroy Crazy Legs for Hirsch, they were something special, and LA loved this team. Tom Fears was something special. He is my 21st greatest Ram ever. So, man, rumbled through that pretty quickly, I think. But I like this list. Recapping it here 21 through 30. And number 30 was Doug Smith, the offensive lineman. Number 29, Todd Gurley. Number 28, Roman Gabriel. 27, Rich Saul. 26, Lawrence McCutcheon. 25, Fred Dreyer. 24, Cooper Kupp. 23, Dennis Hara. At 22, Nolan Cromwell, and 21, Tom Fears. I think I can defend this group pretty easily. What a great group of NFL players. That's my 21 for 30. The 21st through the 30th greatest Rams ever. We got two more groups to go through. We're going to go through 11 through 20 in a couple of days here, and then down to the top 10. The 10 greatest Rams ever. It's going to be fun.